Jill in Cornwall has given me a ring about the by-elections. Jill, what do you think?
Well, for a start, I've never been asked to take part in a poll ever, and I don't know of anyone that has actually sort of taken part in a poll either. And to be perfectly honest, I think that a lot of Conservative voters, maybe a lot of Labour Party voters as well, but a lot of Conservative voters won't bother with these by-elections. They won't bother to go out and vote.
We do have, you're absolutely right, Jill, we've turnout of 37% in Kingswood, 38% in Wellingborough, but even if you have a larger turnout, it doesn't seem to be better for Rishi Sunak. It seems the Conservatives are under a huge amount of pressure and that Labour will be the next government of this country. Well,
that is how it might appear according to the polls as they've gone and the elections as they've gone. But you may find that when the actual election for the country turns up, that it won't be as these pollsters are actually proclaiming. It's a bit like the Leave campaign, you know, the Remain in the campaign that was done. They sort of were so shocked when the actual vote took place and found that 17 million people voted to leave.
But Jill, I totally get your point on the Leave campaign, and they played a blinder getting that across the line, the Democratic vote to leave the EU. But every bit of evidence, forget the polls for a second, although I think we disagree on that, but let's put that to the side for a second. Every bit of evidence of every by-election we have, apart from one, over the course of this Parliament, is a loss for the Conservative Party. I mean, you can talk about exceptional circumstances, you can talk about different factors, but really the evidence is there, is it not, Jill?
Well, we're in this situation where I at the moment, I would not vote for Labour, but I wouldn't vote for the Conservatives either. I really am so dissatisfied with every politician that has stood up and said what they want to do, because when push comes to shove, they do nothing of what they say they want to do, and that goes for the Labour Party politicians as well as the Conservatives. So at the moment, I would not want to vote for either one of them. But when actually on the day we have to vote in order to select...
do you think you might hold your nose and vote Conservative on the day, Jill?
Well, I think I would have to in order to stop Labour from getting in, because there are so many things about the Labour Party that I'm unhappy with. Yeah. The fact that they might get in is a worry for me because of their views on certain things that I feel very strongly about.
Well, Jill, it'll be really interesting just to see how many people are undecided at the moment, but on the day sort of perhaps vote for the party, whichever party it is that they voted for otherwise. Terry is in Dover and has given me a call, 0344 499 1000. Terry, what do you make of a dramatic political week and especially the by-elections in the last couple of days?
Well, you had Peter Bone, who was disgraced, and the chap in Kingswood, he was the one who resigned because of the net zero thing, wasn't he?
Yeah, he didn't like what the UK government was doing on environmental things, so he resigned. He actually became an independent. Peter Bone, I should say, denies the allegations against him. But but Terry, it's interesting what's happened, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But I mean, the swings are massive. But I think, Peter, you know, we've got nearly a year to go before the general election, and you know, as Jill said before, I think many people will go into the polling booth and think, well, Labour could well be worse here. I mean, as far as the Conservatives going to the right, you know, they'll be wiped out, you know. But they've got to go on their One Nation Conservatives. They've got to appeal to young people, Peter.
Can they do that, though? Can they? I mean, there's such a short period of time to be able to do that, Terry.
It's very, very difficult, isn't it? But I mean, most young people these days, as you know, Peter, they're voting socialist or anti-capitalist. So that means Labour. They've got to try and do something on housing for them.
They've had 14 years, Terry, some people would say, you know.
I know.
You know, I mean, it's interesting you mention that, though, because Michael Gove actually was talking about that earlier this week. He had 3 days of announcements on housing saying that we need to connect, exactly what you're saying there, connecting young people with capitalism. But to me, anyway, it just seems that that's a fine idea. But, I mean, Michael Gove's been in politics in this country for, you know, the last 20 years. There's so much more that could have been done.
I know, Peter. I know it's difficult. But, I mean, as a floating voter, I mean, you know, I was around in the 70s and we can all trot out this thing about Liam Byrne, you know, with Gordon Brown saying there's no money left.
There's no money left,
Yeah, and all the rest of it. I think the thing is, Peter, if people are undecided, you know, there was a low turnout in these ones, they might just say, you know, well, West Streeting is pretty good on the health service. I give him credit for that. But on the boats and the economy, if they do reduce tax and make it, you know, less of an economic crisis for people come the next election, they can improve. I think there's a chance for them, actually, Peter, to be honest with you.
That's interesting, Terry. There are a lot of thoughts going around your head, though, in terms of what is, you know, how you're going to vote and so on. I mean, it'll be really, really interesting to see what happens. Terry, thank you. Paul in Chelmsford has given me a call as well, 0344 499 1000. Paul, what would you like to say? You're very welcome to the programme this afternoon.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, I mean, the Conservative excuse that it was a low voter turnout, I can understand that. The reason why it was a low voter turnout is because people are sitting at home trying to get a hospital appointment, a doctor's appointment, a dentist appointment, a mental health assessment from somewhere. So they really can't go out and vote.
And that's a really good point, Paul. And I wonder if you think, as many people think who call my shows I'm on at the weekend between 10 and 1 Saturday and Sunday, who often say, actually, we're not sure voting's going to make that much of a difference because whoever the politicians are, we feel they'll let us down. And those public services who we're paying a heck of a lot of taxes for, whether it is all those things you mentioned there, the dentist appointment, the doctor's appointment, and all the rest of it, we just can't get that.
Well, you know what? It's like one story after another, one excuse after another. I mean, we are in dire straits over here. They've got no money for social housing, no money for this, no money for that. Now, I understand that Ukraine is in a war with Russia, but for God's sakes, we have to look after here before we go anywhere else. I mean, we can't be giving money willy-nilly around the... we need some serious problems solved here.
Yeah, it is about reform, though, as well as money, though. But you make a really, really good point. And Ukraine is actually very germane to the next conversation because we're going to talk now, actually. First of all, thank you for your call.